Good morning. It is Friday, June the 27th, 2025. And yes, it is hot here in my old Kentucky home, but maybe just a snip cooler than it has been the last few days. And starting today, they're giving some chances of thunderstorms today, the next several days. So maybe that will cool it down a little bit and it'll be better breathing. All right. All I can say is get in the chair and hold on because I may have more to say than 20 minutes. And if you get tired of watching this, just stop it and come back later and watch the rest of it, and then you can like it. Okay? Because I've got some really important stuff to tell you. But first, look, I've got me some little notes right here, even written on the side, things that I want to tell you about. But first of all, just a little funny thought. I almost told my husband about my channel this morning. And then I thought, how am I going to just come up and say, hey, I've got a YouTube channel? And he would say, how do you do that? And why do you want to do that? And, you know, he's simple. Men are simple. They don't really want to know the details of what all goes on up here. But let me tell you why that I almost did. I was watching Cynthia on Senior Insights this morning, and my husband decided it was time for his second cup of coffee. So I laid my iPad on the couch, and I had Cynthia on. I had my earbud in, and I went over into the kitchen to fix his cup of coffee. Well, it was about at the end of her video, and when it got to the end, it automatically went on to the next video that YouTube had lined up, which was me. So my voice started coming through my earbud, and I thought, oh my gosh, that iPad is laying on the couch with my big face on it. He will see it for sure. So I just eased over to the couch without the coffee. I was in there fixing his coffee. I went over there and pressed the stop button. And he said, what's wrong? And I said, nothing. Just went on in the kitchen and fixed his coffee. So then after that I thought, why don't I just tell him? It's kind of hard. Do you realize that it has been since the end of February when I started this channel? February, March, April, May, June, almost 4 months. Hey, 4 months today. It was the 27th of February, and this is the 27th of June. 4 months. So what do you all think? Do I need to tell him or not? But that was, Cynthia, I know you'll enjoy that. But anyway, I just had to tell you guys that. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, I've got two really serious subjects that I want to talk about today. But let me get this little, what do they call it? Housekeeping out of the way. That's what we used to say. The teachers in elementary school especially, they said we have some housekeeping chores to get done, you know, like the call the roll and see if you brought your homework and so forth. You know, we were talking about the white shirt I had with the stain in it that I finally got out. Well, if you've been reading the comments, it's just amazing that the people that got involved in that, because it's kind of a woman's thing, you know, trying to get a stain out. And down through the years, I've never really spent a lot of time trying to get stains out. I just soon throw it away if it wasn't anything too expensive, or get my friend. I've told you my best friend, she can get anything out. So I hadn't told her about the stain in the white blouse because I wanted to see if I could get it out. Now, I called her this morning because I wanted to see the name of this spot remover she uses to get a lot of stains out. And this morning I was watching Emmy at the #1 Ladies Club. And if you're not watching that, she's from England, beautiful lady, has the sweetest voice. She has had such a hard life and just has endured a lot of pain and suffering. So if you're not watching her, it's the #1 Ladies Club. and the number one is just the one, just the number one ladies club, and that's Imogene. But after she had seen us talking about that stain in my blouse and that I'd used that Fels naphtha that got it out, so she ordered her some and just couldn't wait to get it because her grandson had gotten some stains, and she, they hadn't been able to get them out, so she was going to try it. It didn't work. I was so disappointed. I was just so So anyway, right now she's got it soaking in something. But I want to tell you, Emmy, and everybody else, I conferred with my expert genius friend this morning. She said it's amazing the stains that the sun will take out. So Emmy, if that doesn't work, and after you've done what you've done to it right now, try hanging it out just on a hanger out where the sun will hit it, and just leave it like all day, and it might take longer than a day, I don't know, but just try that and see. Has anybody ever heard that before? And it's not just white things, it's different things, because my friend told me this morning that her daughter-in-law told her the other day, that my friend's grandson had gotten a Sharpie marker on a new t-shirt. So they wanted to see if she could get it out. Well, she couldn't get it out. So she looked on Amazon, and she ordered something off Amazon that will get out like markers. And she ordered it, and she said it's a liquid. The first time she used it, it didn't work. It faded it a little bit, and then the second time it worked. I don't know what the name of it is, but you can look for it if you need that. But the name of this other cleaner that she has used so many times for me to get stains out is Stanley Degreaser. Now, how many of you remember years ago, I'm sure this was when I was a kid, that you could order Stanley products? Might have been kind of like Tupperware or Avon, something like that. I'm sure that her mother had ordered this years and years ago. And if Rita's watching, I'm sure her mother had it, and Rita may have some too. But it's a liquid, and it's kind of yellow, and it's kind of greasy looking, but it's called a degreaser. But it will bring out a lot of stains. Now, I did use it on my white blouse, and it didn't. But after all the different things I used on it, it may have just been a buildup of everything that brought that stain out. But whatever. But you can still get that Stanley degreaser. So that might be another something you want to put in your arsenal for getting stains out of your clothes. Now, isn't that amazing? I was just so excited about that, and I called my friend right before I came up here because I wanted to give you that Stanley degreaser name. And then she had tried she's got a new one she's trying, but I'm not sure what it was. Okay, another little housekeeping chore I wanted to get out of the way was the other day I was talking about how I like to buy dresses from that Bowden USA. Someone had asked me about that just the last few days, and I'd sent them that name. It's BODEN.USA if you want to look it up on the internet. And they've got a sale on right now, so if you want to look and see, some of the dresses are on sale, but they're still, fairly expensive. But their dresses will last forever. The only thing I don't like is there's so many of them that's cut low. And since I'm older and I don't like anything too low, But anyway, there's some that's not. But I was looking at that this morning, and I thought, I think I'll look on Amazon, just see what kind of dresses they have. Not that I need any. Did I tell you, I told you the other day I probably got about 10 dresses. I went to my closet like the day after I told you that, went in there, I've got at least 20 or 25 dresses. Now that's like short sleeved and maybe long sleeved that I've worn to church. But I've worn them forever, and I'm tired of them, and they're just like new. So I think I'm going to just wash a bunch of them and take them to the consignment store, and at least get just a drop of money. But you've got to consider how many times I've worn those. So I'm sure I've got my money's worth. Sometimes I get kind of aggravated at these city people talking so fast. And I think sometimes I'm talking too fast, but see, I've already talked 10 minutes and I've got 2 stories I need to tell you that are very important. And I know that some of you's not going to watch if I go 30, 45 minutes, but this one may go that long. Also, another housekeeping chore. After I was watching the number one ladies club, Emmy, this morning, and of course I watch Senior Insights every morning. And I've told you the other day about Life with Patti, Patti. I'm really enjoying watching her because she's the one that does the coloring, and she's just got a nice voice, and she'll show you the different drawings and stuff she's done. Hey, I went through a little spree of I decided I wanted to draw. Now I can't draw a stick man, but I would start drawing flowers, a few little flowers, and just a little frog. Nothing too fancy, but I've made quite a few cards in the past and sent them to people. And since Cynthia at Senior Insights is getting all these cards, it's about, I'm going to have to sit down and draw her a flower and send her a card so she'll put it on that silly cork board she's got behind her, because I want to see my card up there. So if you want to send her a card, she's got the address on her, in her information. But one thing I was thinking, and I think we've been doing really good at this, building the community that we're building with people around our age, or past 50. Hey, if you're in your 50s, you're headed to your 70s, so just don't blink, because it'll be here before you know it. And I think it's so nice and caring that we share other people's channels that we like to watch. And we do that a lot. I mean, if it wasn't for Grandma Lois, honey, she's probably got me untelling how many subscribers. Lois Baird - Rice. And still, I feel like she's my sister. I feel like that if I went to her house right now, and I don't even like cats, but I'd climb up there and let a cat sit in my lap. I'm just a dog person. But anyway, I feel like it's really important for us to shout each other out, to share our different channels. And there's another one I wanted to shout out, because I've shouted out, I think, quite a few. And I don't know if I need to be shouting anybody out, because I don't have that many subscribers myself. But hey, I'm just tickled to death. My numbers are just slowly growing. And I think that's great. I'm not a bit worried about it. But I want to mention NonnaGrace, who is a little lady that lives in New York. But she don't live in the city. She lives out in the country. Her and her husband ride motorcycles. I don't know what she means. She's got chickens. She had a chicken that lived in the house. I don't know if she's still got him or not. If you've not looked at her, look at Nonna. It's Nonna Grace, just one word. And she don't make very long videos, and just sweet as she can be. So you check her out and see what you think. And just recently, her and her husband have been out on a motorcycle gang. I don't know if it's Hell's Angels or what, but they've been on a big trip out west riding motorcycles. So she's a lot braver than I am. But give her a look and see what you think. I'm going to put in the description, if I can remember, Life with Patti, the number one ladies club, and NonnaGrace. Lord, the number one ladies club has got a lot of subscribers, but she needs to meet some new people, and from the United States. She's from England. Got a beautiful accent. You'll enjoy it. And I think it's just very nice and considerate for us to share, because although we all talk about different things, we're still wanting to encourage people. And someone had said, how on some channels that people are saying, oh, woe is me. Believe me, I could sit here and say woe is me, but I'm not going to, because I want us to have a little joy in our life and a little laugh. And I'm just having a great time meeting all these new people. So let's just keep on doing that. And it's been 15 minutes in here. I've not even got to my two main subjects. So just hang on. Hey, somebody else I mentioned the other day, you know that guy I told you about making the Pop-Tarts? I'm not going to make the Pop-Tarts. His site is Cowboy, Kent Rollins. And he is such a pleasant little guy. And I'm not going to guess how old he is, but his wife is a lot younger than he is, and they just happy as two peas in a pod. And he's very entertaining, cooking, different things. Look at his channel. He don't need any subscribers either, but if you want just something upbeat, he's very interesting. All right. Now, I want to get to the first story I wanted to tell you. And I may just make this one video because this is Friday. I put up a video this morning that I had recorded on Wednesday, and I started to delete it this morning. I thought, I'm just going to delete that because whenever you watch the video, you could tell that it was on the wrong day because I was talking about my girl going to ride a horse at the ocean, and that's already happened. But anyway, I wrote on there that I videoed it on Wednesday. One person, I've already got some comments this morning. One person said they needed that this morning. Hey, that's what it's all about. So I'm so thankful that I put that video up there. So I'm going to have two videos in one day. Do you know, I think this video will be my 63rd video. I would have never, I couldn't even see to the number 10 when I first started doing these videos. And now I'm just like a machine. I think, I've got to do a video. Okay. In my little town, on Fridays, they have a little program on the local radio station just about things that involve our community. Sometimes it will be about a fundraiser, or it might be something about the school system. They might have the superintendent there, and there's a couple of guys, and then they'll interview and talk to different people just about different things. And this morning I happened to listen to it, and I thought, I almost cried. And I'm not saying this to get you down, but this is just such a touching story that I feel like everyone needs to hear. Because if you live in California, or if you live in England, or if you live in Florida, or if you live in New York, you will never hear this story unless you hear it coming from me. So I want to tell you, I felt like, as soon as I heard this, I thought, I've got to tell my friends this story. This morning they had on a young man. He's about in his 40s. In fact, I had him in high school when I was teaching. And I'm going to say, I'm not even going to say the date, but it was the 1st to middle May when we had a tornado come through here. And I think you probably remember that I was telling you that the night of that tornado, I slept on the couch. I went and got my girl out of her bedroom and made her come into the front room and lay in the little bed I sleep in so that if a tree fell on the back of the house, it wouldn't fall on her bedroom. And my husband just stayed in the bed. Well, I never did, I'm not one to run to the basement whenever people say, we've got a tornado watch. And if you don't live in an area that doesn't have tornadoes, you're very blessed. But I know that there's other kinds of storms everywhere. But anyway, that night, was a very restless night for me. And it was the first time in years. We go through this every spring several times, and sometimes even in the fall. But I never get scared enough to go to the basement. That's where you're supposed to go if you know a tornado's coming. And they say that a tornado sounds like a train, the sound of it and the pressure of it, just so loud. And it just happens within seconds. Well, this young man was telling on the radio his experience with this tornado. And that night that I was scared, that I felt, something, this is the scariest I'd ever felt. He said that it's him and his wife, and he has 2 kids at home. One of them is in upper elementary, and one is in high school. And then they had an older daughter that was living in maybe Lexington, and the next morning they were going to go up there and move her from like Lexington to Bowling Green, like for school, something about her school. So, their minds were on, we need to get to bed early because we got to get up really early, drive that way, and, there's going to be a lot of driving. And he said he had gone to bed. And he didn't say what time it was, but he said that his wife came in there and she said, my brother has just called and said they are giving tornado warnings for this area, this specific area, and that we need to go to the basement. Well, like all men, he was aggravated and didn't want to get up, but he did. And he said just for some reason, he said he got fully dressed. He put on shirt, pants, even his work boots. And they got the kids. He said as they started walking through the house, they saw some headlights coming up the driveway. And they've always told some of their neighbors that don't have a basement, if you ever need any help, any storms, you're welcome to come to our basement. So these people came to the basement. And they were back there, and he said they were in the basement. And he said, their phones, the phone service went out. So, they didn't have any phone service. But he said you could just feel in the air, even in the basement, just this eerie feeling. And he said, then all of a sudden, it was such pressure. He said it's like if you were swimming in a swimming pool and you go down to the bottom and you can feel the pressure or something like that. But just like something's about to explode. And he said just like that, it was just there and over. And so he said ended up, after that had passed, that him and this guy was laying over his wife and child. And then he was laying over his wife and 2 kids. He said he didn't even remember them doing that, but that's how when they came to themselves after this storm, that's the position they were in. Also, he said that when they were getting ready to go to this basement, his son, who plays baseball, good baseball player, said, he had a game that next day, and he loves baseball evidently. And he had taken his outfit down there, his ball bag with all his cleats, all the everything he needed, his ball glove, everything he took to the basement. And so they were kind of teasing him down there in the basement about taking the stuff down there. But he said that when the storm was over, that his friend got up, went up the stairs, and I think the storm had blown the door off, and there was nothing left of his house. Said it was just, there was stuff in the floors and stuff. The floor was there. But I think he said 2 or 3 walls were gone. His garage was gone. His cars were totaled. He had borrowed some kind of, I don't know if it was a U-Haul or something. I guess he had rented it at the place in town to move his daughter the next day. It was totaled. They lost everything they owned. He said, and he likes to hunt, probably deer hunt. He said he walked outside, and of course it was still dark, but the lightning was still so fierce. You know how it can be so rough that you can see the ground or see around you. He said one of his rifles was stuck down in the barrel was stuck down in the ground, just like you had just taken something and beat it down in the ground. He said he had a gun safe in his bedroom, and it was blown, I forgot how many feet out of the house. And those things are not lightweight. Well, his wife and his daughter were barefoot. They didn't even have shoes. And they couldn't find any shoes. Of course, they didn't have any light. He said the only light they had was on their phones. And their phones, they might have started working because across the road from him was this 90-something-year-old man lived. And he said as soon as they got their bearings together enough, him and that guy ran across the road to check on this 90-something-year-old man. He was in the bed asleep. And said whenever he came to the door, it had blown the roof off his house. And that old man said, you need to call my son-in-law, so-and-so, and tell him to come and bring a tarp to put on the roof, where there's a hole in my roof. He didn't realize that, a big part of his roof had blown off. But he wasn't seriously hurt. I think he might have gone to the hospital, but I don't think he wasn't seriously hurt. Then this guy that his house blew away, his mom and dad lived just down the road a little bit. Well, he ran down there. Well, see, it's still raining, the lightning, the thunder. I mean, I can't even fathom what they went through that night. And of course, I'm sure he was in shock. We went down to his mom and dad's house, which they're about my age because I worked with his dad in the school system. He said they were beating on the door and they couldn't get anybody to answer because they were in the basement and they couldn't hear him. And finally he called. I think they finally got phone service back and called. But the point of all of that was that he works for a big insurance company. He works for like 15 counties. And he said, he was just praising and praising his community, the people of this community, and even people from other places that came and helped him. He said people brought food and there were workers there helping clean up, just for days and days. And I mean, you could tell he was choking up because they had asked him to come earlier to talk about this, and he said he wasn't able to because he couldn't do it without, crying. But he was talking about, and I wrote this down because I thought, what a testimony he is. He said, we were chosen to be in the storm. But he said because they have been in that storm, that he has been able to tell people from all these counties that he works for how that God protected them. And although all their material things were destroyed, that God kept them safe. And just how much people mean to each other. And that's why, I think that we need to share and to be nice to each other is because that's what we're here for. To tell people about God and to help each other and encourage each other. And he had the most powerful testimony telling about that. I mean, he was a good church-going guy anyway, but he was just in his 40s and had these kids and just living life, but he's a good Christian guy. He said the Lord brought us through it all. They didn't have a scratch on them. So I thought, for you guys that live out there somewhere that you never have to experience something like that, what a testimony and how God can take care of us and does. And they had benefits around here, fundraisers. It was unreal, the money that was taken up and the help that those people have received. And he said right now, they're in the process of rebuilding. And he said that his garage, was blown away. And he said he hired 2 Amish young men. And he said they put up a garage in 2 days, that they had him a garage put up. But now they're in the process of rebuilding their house. And they've still got the basement, so they've drawn up a plan to rebuild their house. And so I don't know where they're staying now, but it was just, it just humbled me this morning to think, do we complain about, hey, I'm not going to complain about my windows being dirty because they are. And guess what? I'm not going to clean them because the front of our house is like way off the ground. I'm so thankful. I mean, every day I'm so thankful for air conditioning. Can you imagine trying to live in days like this, as hot as it is, without air conditioning? And there's many people that don't have it. So let's not complain about the heat. Well, we can complain about it, but let's be thankful. 30 minutes I've been talking, and I've not even touched on the second subject, but I'm going to. But if you're tired, just pause this baby and go make a cake or something, and then come back. Hey, remember the orange fluff I made, and it was so good? I bought more stuff to make it again yesterday. And I told my husband last night, I said, I'm going to make us some more of that orange fluff because you liked it, okay? He said, no. He said, he didn't really like it that good. Don't make it. He didn't want it. I'm going to make it anyway. This morning I made some strawberry jello with a little bit of frozen strawberry jam in it, a cup of boiling water, and marshmallows. I think he'll eat that. I had some jello that had expired. And they say it's dangerous to use cake mixes. I've heard that now before. I don't know who said it. I don't know where I read it, but I will not use an expired cake mix because I've read that at one time that could hurt you. But according to Mr. Internet, he said you can use jello beyond its expiration date. So the strawberry jello is beyond its expiration date. But if I'm back on Monday, it didn't hurt me. So much for that. Now is what I wanted to tell you. I've never made a video this long. But anyway, I do have on an FFA shirt that I found in my daughter's closet. Okay, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is the horses. Let me tell you the beginning of the horses. I should make another video, but I'm not going to. When my girl came to live with us, she wasn't 2 years old. But as she started to grow up, just grow it a little bit and a little bit, she liked horses. And I don't know why, because we never had horses. We used to have a few cows, but we didn't have any horses. And she just loved horses. And I would buy her little horse books, and I would buy her these Breyer horses that are, very, very well made. If any of you all have little boys, you've probably bought the little Breyer horses. She had horses. And she would spend hours sitting in the floor, lining those horses up, talking to them and working with them. And she would build little corrals out of popsicle sticks. Now, we'd go to the Mighty Dollar, which everything at that time was $1, and she'd buy bags of these popsicle sticks and used a hot glue gun, which she wasn't 3 or 4 at that time. She was more like 7 or 8, probably still too young to be using one, but she still used it. She made saddles. She made everything you can think of. She would make barns out of cardboard boxes, and I would help her cut the doors out and so forth. And this one room, when I look back now at some pictures that we took, like when she was younger, and our house looked so junked up, but like she would have those horses lined up and have her barn set up. Of course, I just let her do it. She was such a good kid, and she just loved to do that. So when she was 8, she wanted a real horse. And I said, well, maybe when she's 10. Well, then at Christmas that year that she was 8, her daddy surprised her and got her one, which was Hershey, the dark brown horse. And then Hershey, had a colt about 6 months later that we didn't know she was pregnant. So, we're talking now about getting rid of the horses. And so many people don't realize what those horses have done for me. Somebody wrote me this morning, is why I even thought about bringing this up, and said, how she loved horses, but she doesn't have a horse. let me see, Amber was the one that wrote me. And she said that sometimes she would stop along the road and pet a horse that's in a field just because they're really therapeutic. And I wouldn't get on one of those horses if you paid me because I'm scared of heights and I'm scared of getting on an animal like that because I don't have it in me to try to control something like that. But like getting in where they are, that doesn't bother me as bad. Really, I don't even do that anymore because, they could just kind of flip around on me and knock me down. But I can't tell you what they do to your insides being around them. And, I just love them. I have such a love for them that I don't even know how to explain it. And here we are trying to get rid of them. And we need to get rid of them because I cannot take care of the horses. And my girl is going to be gone, I hate to say it, but in less than 2 months. And then the wintertime, I've gone down there in the winter and fed them. And my friends or people I know will say, you're just going to have to get rid of those horses. You're just going to have to get rid. And it's so easy to say that, It's really easy for somebody to say, you need to get rid of that dog, or you need to get rid of this or that. But until you have these feelings like I do, it's very hurtful. And I know that I'll cry. And I dread the day they're going to be gone. I told my husband this week, I said, if we don't hear anything by July the 1st, which is next week, I'm going to call that guy that came down here before and see if he'll buy the younger one. And if he will, I want them both leaving on the same day. We will take the older one to my girl's friend that's going to board her for us. And then he'll have to go somewhere else. It breaks my heart to think they're going to have to be separated. But see, that's just how tender-hearted I am. Like these men, they don't care. They don't care. But maybe that's not going to take me as long as I thought it would. But have you ever been attached? Now I mean, I want to get rid of them. I know they've got to go. They're not like having a dog in the house. But it's easy for people to say, you're going to just get rid of those horses. Just get rid of them. It's not that easy. And then, after they've been there for 9 years, and when something like that becomes a part of your life, it's hard to let it go. Just like if I feel like that toward the horses, how would you feel about someone you live with? It's going to be a lot harder, isn't it? But we all just have to do it, just to endure it. But I love animals. I don't want to see an animal mistreated. I would about fight somebody if I thought an animal was being mistreated. But that's just me. I don't like fighting roosters. And there's a guy that lives down the road from us that I bet he's got 100 barrels out in his yard with a rooster hooked on to each one of those barrels, and then they fight. They have rooster fights somewhere. I can't even think about that. I never drive past his house. The very few times that I have, I cannot stand the thoughts of letting roosters fight each other till their death. What is wrong with people and dogs fighting? Oh my goodness gracious. All right, I got to get off here. I need to live in a bubble, I guess, because stuff like that really bothers me. Okay. Hey, need some prayers for some people. My girl texted this morning, this is Friday, and she said, we're leaving tonight about 5 p.m. and may drive all night. And it's probably, I was trying to figure it out, it's probably nearly 12 hours from where she is. Please help me pray for their safety. I've already been praying for it. but that's probably a good time to travel. And the roads, you know, it's a lot of it's interstate, so hopefully they can have a safe trip home. I'll be glad to get her home. Hey, you guys have a great day, and let's enjoy this day the Lord has made and be glad in it. And I think I'm going to go get some fish and take home for lunch from Jax, Jax. It's really good fish. So I'll probably see you guys Monday. Hey, and just if you get tired of this, pause it and come back and like it. I'm going to see you soon, okay? Bye.